The legend of the Christmas tree. Most children have seen a Christmas tree. Many know that the pretty and pleasant custom of hanging gifts on the boughs comes from Germany. But perhaps few have heard or read the story that is told to little German children respecting the origin of this custom. The story is called The Little Stranger and goes like this. In a small cottage on the borders of a forest lived a poor laborer who gained a scant living by cutting wood. He had a wife and 2 children who helped him in his work. The boy's name was Valentine and the girl was called Mary. They were obedient, good children and a great comfort to their parents. One winter evening, this happy little family were sitting quietly around the hearth, the snow and the wind raging outside while they ate their supper of dry bread, when a gentle tap was heard on the window, and a childish voice cried from without, "Oh, let me in, pray. I am a poor little child with nothing to eat and no home to go to, and I shall die of cold and hunger unless you let me in." Valentine and Mary jumped up from the table and ran to open the door, saying, "Come in, poor little child. We have not much to give you, but whatever we have, we will share with you." The stranger child came in and warmed his frozen hands and feet by the fire, and the children gave him the best they had to eat, saying, "You must be tired too, poor child. Lie down on our bed. We can sleep on the bench for one night." The little stranger child said, "Thank God for your kindness to me." So they took their little guest into the sleeping room and laid him on the bed, covered him with blankets, and said to each other, "How thankful we ought to be. We have warm rooms, a cozy bed, while this poor child has only heaven for his roof and the cold earth for his sleeping place." When their father and mother went to bed, Mary and Valentine lay quietly, contentedly on the bench near the fire, saying before they fell asleep, "The stranger child will be so happy tonight in his warm bed." These children had not slept many hours before Mary awoke and softly whispered to her brother, "Valentine, wake and listen to the sweet music under the window." Valentine rubbed his eyes and listened. It was sweet music indeed, and sounded like beautiful voices singing to the tones of a harp. "O holy child, we greet thee, bringing sweet strains of harp to our aid and singing. Thou holy child, in peace art sleeping, while we watch without art keeping. Blessed be the house wherein thou lie, happy on earth, to heaven the highest." The children listened, while a solemn joy filled their hearts, and they stepped softly to the window to see who might be outside. In the east was a streak of rosy dawn, and in the light they saw a group of children standing before the house, clothed in silver garments, holding golden harps, and amazed at this sight, the children were still gazing out the window when a light tap caused them to turn around. There stood the stranger child before them, clad in golden dress, with a gleaming radiance around his curling hair. "I am the Christ child," he said, "who wanders through the world, bringing peace and happiness to good children. You took me in, and you cared for me when you thought me just a poor little child, and now you shall have my blessing for what you have done." He planted a fir tree, and from this he broke a twig which he planted in the ground, saying, "This twig shall become a tree, and shall bring forth fruit each year for you." No sooner had he done this than he vanished, and with him the choir of angels. But the fir branch grew and became a Christmas tree, and on its branches hung golden apples and silver nuts every Christmas tide. Yesterday I was out shopping, and in one of the stores a man came up to me, and he was not a very well-kept man. His clothing was not ironed, and his hair was not combed, and he was pleasant, but you could tell that maybe didn't have as much as some of the other of us. And he started talking to me, and he started telling me about how he was going to church this morning, and where he was going to church, and how he had gone to this church, but he quit going there, and he was going to another church, and just telling me the history of how these churches were formed. And I was standing there, and I was trying to be real patient to him, and I was listening, and I smiled, and we chatted for a few minutes. And when he walked away, I was thinking about that, and I thought how you have to be patient with people, because you never know what form Jesus might appear to you in. I'm certainly not saying that man was Jesus, but just like this child that came, this poor child that came to these people's home and needed a place to stay, and they were gentle with him and kind and gave him a place to stay. When we're gentle with other people and we're kind and we listen to them, even in our rush and our hustle and bustle, we're sharing the love of Christ with others. And that is what Christmas is all about. Because the Bible says, "Inasmuch as ye have done unto the least of these my brethren, you have done unto me."